Welcome back to the ABL review for the Champions League. This is the final episode of this. I'm going to start off, we're going to go over the game, do kind of a little recap of the Champions meta as it stands, and then we'll just kind of talk about some options for what is in the future of the ABL. So, first we can hop into this game. So, I've got my game versus Ishii here. Ishii had kind of like a pretty impressive run at the end of the Champions League here. Let me pull up the schedule real quick and make sure everything's framed up here. It's not. So here's the schedule. So Ishii started off against Zane, very close loss. And then I played him, another pretty close loss. This was a much closer game than the score indicates. And then gets the win over Zheng. Comes in, gets the win over Dakota, and then a win over Mike in the final week of the season, in addition to getting some, Dakota losing helped his tiebreaker. He had this tiebreaker against Dakota, so all he had to do is get a tie. So, started off 0-2, made the finals. So, I want to give him credit for that run. And now we can I just want to head over to the game. So, we'll get back into the replays here. So, again, playing against Ishii is difficult because I think he obviously team builds in a much different way than I am used to, because I entirely mispredicted what his team was going to be yet again. I figured we'd probably see Delphox, we'd almost certainly see Quaquaval, Umbreon, and Skarmory, but I expected to see potentially Sylveon, potentially Sinistcha, potentially the Hisui and Goodra. What else he got on his team? Ignore the bad framing. Kangaskhan kind of came last time. There's a good chance he brings something like that. I really didn't think Mudsdale, but wasn't expecting Torkoal that much. Didn't really think I'd see Gengar, but I was wrong. So I'm gonna hop into this battle. So I just lead off with Palafin because I know, based on what is on his team, Palafin has a very good matchup, and I need to get it. Into its proper form right away. This one was tough because I did consider just staying in and clicking Wave Crash, because Wave Crash or Flip Turn, one of the two, because just a Jet Punch even from not Hero Mode Palafin has a good chance of it does a lot of damage. But I elected not to risk it, and I'm glad I didn't. I went out into Rotom Heat because Rotom Heat was here for Sylveon mostly. So at this point, it's, this is kind of a expendable member of the team, and it's Spadef, so, we'll see how it does. So he's just going to Mega Evolve and go for Will-O-Wisp. So got lucky there, essentially got a free turn out of it, and able to get my Palafin activated. And now at this point, I know I just kind of need to leave, but I don't want anything to have to come in. So I'm just going to go for a slow Volt Switch. And this Psychic does 52%. Looking at the calcs, I know that this is modest max special attack, and that is a maximum roll. It did 81 HP. It cannot do more than that. I'm looking over here on the side because Ishii sent me his team afterwards. Yeah, modest max special attack. So I do know that I have a 37% chance to live another Psychic if I need to. Not as high as I'd like it to be, but good news is I get off that damage. That damage is awesome because it puts in range of Palafin. Palafin has a chance to KO. And I'm going to play really safe with Palafin for the majority of this game. Skarmory makes sense to come in, but I didn't want to pass up the opportunity at getting Mega Delphox KO'd if it happened. So I'm just going to go for Jet Punch and then into a Flip Turn, which for me, this is better than if I had gone for either just a flat-out Flip Turn or a Wave Crash, because Wave Crash would have activated this Citrus Berry and probably would have been at about that HP, but I wouldn't have a switch opportunity here. So I'm happy with how this turns out. Gives me another opportunity to Volt Switch, and I'm able to catch this. Oh, I Pain Split the Umbreon coming in here. Get a lot of my HP back. Allows me to maybe take out on Mega Delphox. So I really want to get this Will-O-Wisp off because I figured like I said, this is expendable, this Rotom Heat, so I can eat a Toxic if it happens to have it. And I'd rather just get this burn off and make sure the foul plays do less damage and nothing else then has to take a Toxic. So really happy to get that. Obviously went for the Thunder Wave, predicting me to go into something else, probably like Hydreigon or Paldean Tauros. Ishii told me afterwards this is where he realized he lost the battle. A little bit of insight into this Umbreon, and we're going to see here after, I think, this Volt Switch. So this Volt Switch damage at 18% shows that it is max Spadef, and which is fine. That's like typically what Umbreons are. It's going to allow it to better take on Frostlass. But good news is it opens up my physical attackers quite a bit. So he's Foul Play, Toxic, Wish, Thunder Wave. So with him burned now, like Excadrill is a pretty safe thing for this, because he showed Thunder Wave. I'm assuming he's Wish, Protect, Foul Play. I don't know that he has Toxic. But I'm just going to bring in Excadrill, and I'm going to take this opportunity to get up my Stealth Rocks. I want to be able to chip that Torkoal. I know that Gengar, if it's not invested, is guaranteed to faint to Jet Punch if I'm able to get off one round of rocks on it. I know I'm going to get walled by this Skarmory, but what you going to do? That's why I have this Rotom here, and his Stealth Rocks go up. Now, I do have Excadrill that can spin. It's just a matter of if I can actually get that off at any point. But at least I get the Rotom Heat in here ahead of it, and I'm able to Volt Switch on this Umbreon, again, do 17%. And now it's in range of Wave Crash, so I can very safely click Wave Crash and just claim a KO against anything on the team at this point, as he gives up his Umbreon. Now, Quaquaval's a tough one. Now, I built this team and that while I was at work, and I had some time and was like, you know what, before I finalize this team, let me just see what AI comes up with. What does AI think we should do? And it suggested a pretty similar team, but it wanted Toxicroak to be on the team, specifically because of my matchup against Quaquaval. If you look at what I have, I've got Tauros, weak to Quaquaval. Hydreigon, weak to Quaquaval. Rotom Heat, weak to Quaquaval. Palafin doesn't hit Quaquaval, like can't OHKO it. This is kind of a neutral matchup. Excadrill, weak to Quaquaval. Frostlass, not weak to Quaquaval, but like not a great Quaquaval matchup, especially after like if it gets a KO with Aqua Step and has knockoff, I'm in bad shape. So that's why I considered bringing Toxicroak, but I couldn't find a spot for it on my team. So I just decided, you know what? I need to make sure this thing is weakened. I can't give it free turns. Looked at the calc. It can't KO me with close combat if it's faster than me. And if it does close combat me, I'll definitely be able to KO it with Jet Punch after. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Wave Crash. And I do, and that does quite a bit of damage for being a resisted hit. I do take a lot of recoil back, but he goes for the Aqua Step, predicting a switch, probably predicting me to go into Frostlass, which would have been a good click. Like, I'm not going to fault for that. It does get a crit. Little unfortunate, as you'll kind of see how the HP falls later, but not the end of the world. But great news is 27% is as low as I have to have him to be able to KO with Jet Punch. So I can follow up with a Jet Punch with an opportunity to kill this thing. He does the right thing and goes into Skarmory, but I wasn't going to risk that. I'm going to chip this Skarmory down a little bit more, not quite in Wave Crash range, especially because like also I need to save this Jet Punch. I can't Wave Crash because I'll lose too much HP and I need it to KO the Delphox and potentially the Gengar. And I still kind of need it for the Torkoal. Just going to give me another opportunity to come with Rotom Heat and gain some momentum. Now, this was really interesting because this did way more damage than I was expecting. This Torkoal is actually Timid Nature, 2 HP, 32 Defense, 32 Speed with Shell Smash, Earth Power, Solar Beam, and Flamethrower. He told me that this was kind of his backup sweeper. I guess the max defense gives you opportunities to set up. I don't know, because let's see, this would have, if it was max, this is max speed, so 79 means it goes to 141, so it goes to 158. 158. What is... So, I think most of my stuff was EV'd to be at 152 because... Or 151, so it outspeeds Quaquaval. So yeah, that would have outsped most of my team, with the exception of Mega Frostlass. Also, it can't touch Rotom Heat too much if it... But I think that's an interesting stat spread, or that's an interesting opportunity to set up there. But since I Volt Switch, it did that much damage. Excadrill can come in. I debated just like sacking Excadrill to like and just spinning and then dying to a flamethrower. Glad I didn't. Glad I just went ahead and earthquaked. Because Torkoal couldn't come back in anyways. So it was one of the things where it was like, I don't really want to trade Torkoal for Excadrill. That doesn't seem like a good trade. And then Mega Delphox comes in. So there's kind of a curious thing that happens where in mid-game when you have like a strong Pokemon in the back, it's like, okay, as long as I have... Like, a Pokemon fainting isn't too big of a deal. Like, it's not bad to sack a Pokemon because you gain a lot of momentum. Like, you now know what the game state is, and you can bring in your Pokemon to counter it and kind of have an opportunity. And that's what Torkoal going down did. It allowed this Delphox to come in the sun, very scary for my team. I don't have a switch in, and might actually... I think it probably doesn't live a Jet Punch, come to think of it, even with the sun up. But I also have very limited switch-ins with my Palafin at this point, and I can't let Excadrill go down. So I look at my team and I go, okay, least valuable member is going to be this Hydreigon. Hydreigon is going to take a lot of damage from that sun-boosted flamethrower. Actually, guaranteed 2-hit KO. And Ishii makes a mistake in this battle here. He misses this leftovers recovery right here. He said he didn't notice that. He didn't see this in the chat here, because if he had, he could have just stayed in and clicked Dazzling Gleam. Or honestly, another flamethrower. Because good chance it'd KO, but he decides to sack the Quaquaval. Not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, because it could have gone down to a Jet Punch, and a lot of the team already outspeeds it. But it's important to have those pieces in the back, because he realizes, I think at that point, he might have seen the leftovers, or he's just like, well, doesn't matter. I need to just go ahead and send out Mega Delphox anyways. It's going to come in and click Dazzling Gleam and take me down. Now, the good news about that is that burned enough turns that Sun went away, and I'd definitely be able to come in and get the Mega Delphox. Knowing now that the Sun's gone, this Delphox can't come in again, I can very safely just go for another Jet Punch. Skarmory's going to come in. I'm going to flip turn on that again, just chip it a little bit lower, encourage it to keep roosting. And I'm going to go into Frostlass just because now Frostlass, because I'm assuming Gengar is Scarfed. Frostlass is probably the most expendable member of the team. And Body Press comes out, so I know that he can't touch me. I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve here, go for Shadow Ball, get the KO. It turns out that he was Roost, Stealth Rock, Body Press, Iron Defense, so he couldn't touch me. I had, what was my move? I think I had Will-O-Wisp, Blizzard, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt. I just figured either get the KO or he's going to switch into Gengar. Either way, I'm looking pretty safe here at this spot. I'm up 5-1. Gengar, I either outspeed and KO with Shadow Ball, especially because even if he's sashed, I've broken it with the Stealth Rocks. Either I outspeed and kill him with the Shadow Ball and the game's over, or he's Scarfed and has to lock himself into Shadow Ball, which I have. I think Rotom Heat would probably live it. Paldean Tauros would live it. Excadrill definitely lives it. So I know that I'm safe now. He does end up outspeeding, KOing with Shadow Ball, confirming he's Scarfed. I know that if he's no HP, I'm just going to try to pick up the KO with Palafin. It'd be fun to do it. He has 11 defense investment, so he's able to live that Jet Punch. Knock me out with a Shadow Ball. But Excadrill's going to come in, guaranteed lives this, any move that this can go for. It has to go for Shadow Ball. I'm able to pick up the KO with the Earthquake and come away with the Champions Championship. So really fun off-season event. I think we can just kind of go in and talk a little bit about the meta of champions. So here, let me mess with this a little bit. So here's the draft. I think, especially when we got down to the bottom, people started to get real. There was a lot less options. I think due to how narrow everything was, like basically people leaned on their heavy hitters. I don't think I didn't keep track, but I think everyone tried to bring all of their Pokemon to a game. I know all of my Pokemon eventually hit the field. All of Ishi's Pokemon, I'm pretty sure Mudsdale made it to a game. I'm not sure if Mega Heracross actually Mega Evolved at any point, because you had Mega Starmie, so that's one of the reasons you wouldn't. I think Zeng used everything, even though he had 3 Megas. I think all of them, or actually no, Mega Emboar never Mega Evolved. Zane, I believe all these Pokemon except maybe Ariados made an appearance, and then Dakota. I think all of these Pokemon except Lycanroc, but that also was like a late season addition, so that's why it wouldn't have made it. So everybody used everything. Looking at the draft board, it's a little thin up top in terms of what's still available, but I do think there's enough here that people could make good teams, and there's enough in the lower tiers that you could still kind of find options. I know not a lot of Pokemon were added for the regulation MB, and it's mostly Megas. So I don't know how people want to move forward, because I do think people want to use the new Megas. I don't want to do NatDex OU, Champions NatDex OU. I think that's kind of it's too much going on. So personally, if we were going to move forward, I would either say we just go back to regular NatDex, what we had in season 24, or we adopt champions and we make it work, and this is what we do moving forward. If people want more time, I totally get that. Ishi brought up the idea of doing doubles again. Let me pull it up on the side here. He sent me a link. I should have thought to do this. The Wolfie Draft League. Let's see. So he has I believe this is like a tier list, like draft board matchups, teams. I don't know if this has like this is my first time coming here, so I don't know if this is all Pokemon. Yeah, this is all Pokemon. So this is a doubles tier list. It obviously it doesn't look like it has the MB Pokemon on it, just the ones that were in MA. So that hamstrings us a little bit, but I'm sure that there are resources that we can use. So just let me know if you want to do an off-season doubles event. We'll probably use the Wolfie Draft League as a starting spot for what we would do. But I think that's all that we're going to talk about right now. Thank you all for continuing to support the podcast and the league. I've recently been going through past seasons, collecting some additional stats that I'm excited to show off once I get that done. But yeah, I think that's going to end it for now. Sound off in the Discord what you want to do. I'll probably put up a poll in a few weeks if I don't hear anything. But thank you all for listening. See you next time. Goodbye.